how we prioritize things. Okay, usually we get on the trap of just collecting tickets, requests from people, and trying to put some order to it, right? When we are working with agility, we need to have a clear understanding of what value means. What is our definition of value? In other words, what is the problem we're trying to solve, or the need we're trying to achieve, or the opportunity we're trying to take? I call all of this a problem, okay? Just to align, right? So we start with the problem, not with the solution, not with the request, not with what was asked from us. We need to understand what is the problems we're trying to solve, right? What is maybe the highest goal we're trying to achieve, and then we can start thinking about prioritizing. And when we prioritize, and that's another aspect of agility, we need to try to tackle in the next thing we create the most important part of it, the most important part of that problem. Or I could say the most important part of the most important part of the most important part of it. That's the art there, right? And I like to use a lot the idea of Pareto. You know Pareto, the 80-20 thing, right? Uh, so Pareto was this Italian mathematician that used to say, he didn't say exactly that, but let's put it this way, that 80% of the impacts or the effects come from 20% of the causes, right? He was talking actually about landowners in Italy, but it was extended to different concepts. But anyway, it's a very known thing today, so I use it as an image thing, okay? So when we're defining what we'll create, right? We need to take a very clear definition of value, to take very clear goals, and try to every time find the next Pareto in it. The next small slice of thing we produce that will create the biggest impact inside this definition of value. And then the next, and then the next, and then the next. So we're starting from a core of value, the core of the problem, the core of the core of the core, to outside, right? So we're aiming at most of the value we want to produce from the beginning. This is all hypothesis, right? Our best hypothesis of what will create value there, right? But then as we're delivering often, we learn from it and we adjust so that we can actually hit the next most important thing. And then again, and then again, and then again, right? And in order to do that, we need to be able to create small parts, small increments, working valuable increments of our product very often and deliver it for actual use, for actual value generation as frequent as possible, right? And that the use of that will help us understand what we need to add, what we need to change, what is actually the next most valuable thing, right? So I have one sentence I use often with my clients, with my classes that I created, which is use defines the product, or use defines the service. It could, right? So we need to get to use of what we created so we understand what this needs to be. It's a circular thing, right? So in Scrum, we do have short cycles. And why do we have short cycles of work? Is it to split a large plan into a good number of sprints, of cycles? It's not. It's to be able to converge into usable value in each and every cycle, right? And that allows us to deliver often. We don't need to deliver in every cycle, right? But it allows us to deliver often, put it to use, learn from it, to generate the value that we can generate, right? Learn from the use and feed back into what we need to do next, what we need to add, what we need to change to the product. So use defines the product, right? I mentioned before we use an empirical approach. This is an empirical approach, right? This is validating and invalidating hypotheses, right? And that's the core of agility, right? That's in the core of what agility is for. Okay? Makes sense? So this should help us prioritize, Ambika. This should help us understand what is, or at least have a good hypothesis of what is the next thing that needs to be created and learn from it and then adjust accordingly. And then learn again and then adjust. And that's the process. Make sense?